Well, hello there, my single mother tribe. How are you doing? Welcome to Self Care Saturday and welcome to 2021. Oh my goodness, one moment. I'm trying to get everything done technologically and it is not working in my favor this morning. Oh my gosh. I do apologize. Where is my IGTV? Oh Lord. There we go. Let's try this again. Well, hello there, my single mother tribe. How are you doing? And welcome to Self Care Saturday. And welcome to 2021. Yes. I don't know if my phone is going to stay up. Hopefully it will. It won't fall. Okay. Well, I am on 3 cameras here. So I'm coming at you on Instagram and Facebook. So welcome, my single mother tribe. I'm Hope Porter for those of you who do not know me. And I am the founder and CEO of Hope for Single Mothers, which is a nonprofit organization that provides resources, tools, programs, and online community to single mothers like yourself and your children. So one of the things that's to me, and I'm not saying it just because I'm the founder and CEO, that is awesome about Hope for Single Mothers is that we encompass a broad demographics, economically, professionally, educationally, as far as ethnically, and how many children we have. So if no one knows, I'm a single mother of 5 children, and I've been a single mother for 15 years now. Most of my children, with the exception of one, they are in their 20s. So I have young adults, and I have one that will be graduating this year. She just turned 18 in November. So I'm on, I won't say the tail end of my single mother journey, but as far as child rearing, one thing I've realized is that no matter how old your children get, you will always be a mother. They just need you differently, and the dynamics of your relationship just shifts. But nevertheless, as a single mother, you were always a single mother. I had this pipe dream, and I'll call it a pipe dream, as I was raising my children, and when they were smaller, that when they got 18, I would ship them off to college. And then that's when my life would begin and I could focus on myself. But it did not quite work out that way for me. All of my children are doing very well. However, we have such a close relationship. It's just been me and my children for the past 15 years. So they kind of didn't, leave, which, it's been awesome and great because, like I said, we have a really close relationship. It's like I said, for the last 15 years, it's just been my children and myself. So, but yeah, so that pipe dream kind of slowly just went away and dissipated. But nevertheless, as I was saying, that we're always single mothers. So I am coming to you today with Self-Care Saturday. If any of you know me, I am like an advocate for self-care. And the reason why I'm advocate for self-care, because I wasn't always like this. Years ago, back in, I would probably say 2007, that's when it began. But really, it hit hard for me back in 2009 and 2011 that I was faced with some health challenges, multiple health issues. And back in, I believe it was 2011, I was diagnosed with MS. And so during that time, I was going to school full time. I was working I was in ministry full time, and my children were much younger and smaller. So I was pretty much juggling multiple things. And as a single mother, you know that we wear many hats. So we are the CEO of our homes, and we're the nowadays Uber and Lyft for our children. And so we do so many things, and it comes quite naturally that we give because we have children that are dependent on us and really relying on us to take care of them, and really kind of, I won't say assuming the role of the father, because we are mothers, we are women. So I don't know about you, but I don't know the first thing about being a man because I'm 100% woman. So, but we're kind of forced to be in that, or we're kind of forced to assume that role in some kind of way, whether we do it on purpose or not. But we're kind of forced in that role of having to be both parents. And so, basically, from my own experience, I've learned that can be very overwhelming as a single mother, but at the same time, because we spend so much time giving out and pouring into our children, and like I said, we have to play many roles, that it's so easy for us to neglect ourselves. And that's where I found myself several years ago. Like I said, I was giving and pouring into everyone, and I pretty much was the last person, if at all. And so it really took me being knocked off my feet and dealing with multiple health issues, from which I honestly felt like at that time I was dying. My health was deteriorating. I was frustrated. I was just overwhelmed. And I had to step back and step down from a lot of responsibilities that I was doing outside of my home, and really had to pull back in. And I was forced to learn how to take care of myself, because like I said, for so long, I was the last person, if at all, that was on the list of priorities. But because of having to deal with previous health issues, that I had to learn how to take care of myself, because I realized that if I'm not around, who's going to take care of my children? And so I think as single mothers, we kind of have the thing backwards, where we're so busy taking care of our children and neglecting ourselves, not realizing that we can't pour out of empty cups, and that if we're not operating at a level of our best, if we're not investing in our care and our wellness, and whether it be mentally, emotionally, physically, and different aspects of our lives, if we're not paying attention and investing in those areas of our lives, that we're depleting from ourselves, and that it's not going to be much of us left to give out or to go around. And so I found myself, like I said, years ago, where I couldn't even take care of my children. I mean, I was, I dealt, like I said, with a lot of health issues, and I was on a lot of medication, and I was just like out of it. Like my children and I, we joke about it today, but it wasn't funny back then. And my children, they remind me of one particular thing. I guess I was so out of it. I was sitting in my chair. I had a huge lounging chair. And I was just out of it. I was on so much medication, but they joke about me now that I guess I was sitting in my chair and had fell away to sleep, and I woke up, or I guess I was still asleep, I don't know. And I was kind of doing the Spider-Man thing, like pew, pew, pew. And so that kind of lets you know just how out of it I was. To them, I guess it was funny, but like I said, that was a point in time in my life where I was just debilitated, and really just so ill that I really kind of wasn't here, like present. And I never want to be in that place again. I never want to be in a place in my life where I'm here physically, barely, but I'm not present. And so I think it's so important as single mothers that we take that into consideration and really become more intentional in that area, that we take our health more seriously, that we're more intentional when it comes to our health, but also more intentional about taking downtime, taking time to pull back, to deal with stress. Because for me, I was operating at such a high level of stress that basically my body had begun to shut down. And so, we need to do better when it comes to managing our stress. We need to do better when it comes to just really being more intentional about, investing in ourselves. For whatever reason, a lot of single mothers have, and I used to myself have a mindset that, it wasn't worth the investment. That, for me, I wore my single mother badge, and I was so proud to be a mother. And that was the area of my life that I wore, as a badge, and to the detriment, I was self-sacrificing to, to the detriment of my health and my physical, my emotional, and my mental well-being. And so since then, I had to learn how to invest in myself, not feel guilty about doing it, first of all, and to really come to the realization that if I'm not my best, I can't operate out of a place of not being my best, because if I do whatever I'm giving out, it's not my best. And so I don't ever want to operate out of a place of where I'm giving my children less than my best, or anyone else. So I just think, like I said, as single mothers, it's extremely important to really become more intentional. And I know there's a lot of guilt, like I said. It took me a long time to really feel comfortable with just buying things for myself. Every time I went into the store, I thought that, my children came first. And if I bought something for myself, I would end up taking it back, because I felt guilty as a mother, like, oh my gosh, like, I'm buying something for myself and here I have these 5 children, and so I had to get delivered and set free from that mindset as well, and to come into, just embracing myself and realizing that I'm not only a single mother. That's just a part of my life, a role I play, a responsibility that I've been assigned to, and a call, but that doesn't encompass all that I am, that there's more to me than just being a single mother. And in finding that out and discovering that about myself, I also realized that I'm worth the investment. I'm worth, I'm being intentional, I'm taking care of myself, loving myself. And loving ourselves as single mothers, it comes in different forms. It comes through self-care. It comes through managing our stress. It comes through creating boundaries in our lives. It comes through so many things that we don't realize is not just, one-dimensional. It's multi-dimensional. And that's something that I believe that we need to really focus on and zero in on and be more intentional. So I'm not here to preach, but I just wanted to, kind of dive into this, because like I said, now I'm a self-care advocate. I'm telling you, and really, to be honest, I was convicted just recently, because I've just been extremely busy, especially 2020. I launched a nonprofit, and I went back to school and finished, and just so many things that I had done. And like I said, as single mothers, it's so natural for us to put so many things on our plate. But at the same time, when we're putting those things on our plate, and some things we just have to do, we don't have any choice but to do it. But there's some things that, we choose to do that may not be necessary. And we put added stress and pressure on ourselves because we're taking on responsibilities that were really not assigned to us, but we're just so used to kind of being everything and doing everything that we kind of feel like, oh, I can do that. Yes, we may very well be able to do it, but it doesn't mean that it's necessary or it's appropriate or even that it's our time to do it. So just learning how to flow and how to say no, what to say no to, what to say yes to. So anyway, but as I was saying on the self-care part, self-care, and the reason why I've been advocating this over 2 years, I started my videos for self-care about 2 years ago in 2018, because I realized in me ministering and helping and mentoring and coaching single mothers and just talking in general, having conversation with single mothers, I noticed that was something that really does not happen intentionally. And that, but yet, we're stressed out, we're exhausted, we're overwhelmed, and we're missing a key component that would help, address those issues that we may be going through and feeling. So I'm just checking in right now because I'm looking at my clock over here and Instagram, because I am plugged in on Instagram. So when this video stops, you can follow me on Hope for Single Mothers, Hope, the number 4 Facebook group. Go ahead and pick back up. If you're following me via Instagram, you can continue watching this broadcast on my Hope for Single Mothers Facebook page. So thank you for tuning in. I see, like I said, my 15 minutes are almost up, but thank you for joining me, and you can continue to watch me on my Facebook, Hope for Single Mothers Facebook group. Okay, thank you so much, and bye-bye. Okay, now to my Facebook tribe. So as I was saying, it's so important that we be intentional as single mothers, and self-care comes in so many components. But today we are going, and I've come to love facials. I don't know about you, but one of the things that I love to do, and I must admit I don't do it as often as I should, but I love to wash my hair. I don't know what it is. It's just something about washing my hair, and my hair regimen, I'm telling you, it's like a whole day. Literally, I kid you not. Taking care of this head right here, it's a whole day. But I love it. And it's so relaxing, and just knowing that, like I said, I'm depositing back into myself. And so I just want my single mothers who are watching me and those who are watching me to kind of, like I said, just, you know, self-care comes in so many ways, but today we're going to focus on our facials. So I don't know about you, but I said today was going to be a day of facial tea and chit chat. So I hope you brought your facials. I actually have 2 with me today. I don't know if you can see, it's kind of looking backwards here, but and this is my first time trying this product, so, and I'm not being sponsored. I'm just kind of put it out there. But I saw this at Ulta Beauty, and I said, let me go ahead and try it. So I've tried so many face masks, honestly. Like, I'm probably like one of the face mask queens. Because I've had to deal with this. Now, in the past, I don't know if you can see, but my face have gotten very clear. For those of you who know me, I suffered with adult acne, literally all of my adult life up until maybe about a year or 2 ago. And it's funny because I'm going to tell you this. I didn't realize how stress was affecting my skin, specifically my face, and acne breakouts and and breakouts. So I have been using so many products, and some were prescribed and some was over the counter. And, I even made my own products, which work really well. And I really need to get back into making my own products because I just don't have time right now. But there was a time in my life when I actually had time to make my own home care products. And this is how you can see this. When I started out, I went natural with my hair back in, I think it was 2011, 2010. I can't remember. Stopped getting a perm. I haven't had a perm in, oh my gosh, I think the last time I had a perm was in 2010, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, make a long story short, I started making my own products because back in about 2010-11, I was nearly bald-headed. I was on so much medication, it literally stripped my hair. Between having a perm and being on a lot of medication, I was nearly bald-headed. So, and back then, that's when the natural hair care trend started, and I hopped on the bandwagon, and here we go. So, and this is just put up in a bun, but my hair is actually down here when it's straightened, and I will say about right here. Yeah, but right there. So I'm working to waist length and beyond. But anyway, not to get off the subject, but so yeah, I've tried so many products throughout the years. Some worked, some didn't, some worked temporarily. But I can honestly say within the last year or 2 that I have found a product, and once again, they're not paying me. I'm not endorsing in any way, but this right here has been like just a miracle for me, and gotten my skin to this point right here. Like right now, you just may be able to see the blemishes, the marks, but I'm pretty much clear. And I've been this way for about a year or 2 now. And actually my youngest daughter, she looks at me sometimes, she's like, how is it that your skin is clearer than mine's, Mom? And I'm like, well, I take care of my skin. I'm really intentional about taking care of my skin, just like I had to be really intentional about taking care of my hair. My hair did not just grow from being bald-headed to almost down to my waist, just, out of nowhere. And I tell people, if you love your hair, it will love you back. So if you're trying to grow your hair, I mean, like I said, believe me, I was literally nearly bald headed. Like, you could see my scalp. That's how, you know, yeah, I didn't have that much hair on my head. And now, you know, and it's up in a bun. And you won't see its full length. I have to straighten it out because I have a lot of shrinkage. But anyway, but as I was saying, that with, you know, I had to be intentional about clearing up my face. I had to be intentional about growing my hair. And it takes time. And I know that as single mothers, we don't have time. We claim we don't have time, but yet we have time to take our kids to 50 million, put them in 50 million sports. And well, you will find the time to do what's important to you. And you have to become important to yourself, because I know this for a fact. As a single mom, we find the time because we're very resourceful and we are like time management queens. We know what to do with our time. And so you have to come to a point to where you feel like you are worth the investment, that you are worth the time. And I understand when you have small children, you may, you know, barely can get to the bathroom and have peace, let alone trying to spend some time doing a facial and just, you know, really putting time into your self-care. But you're going to have to make the time. I mean, like I said, for me, it started, you know, with a couple of minutes here and there, maybe once a month, you know, then it went from once a month to twice a month. And then from there to, you know, so you really have to be intentional. And like I said, I know as single mothers, I know we find the time to do what's important to us. So that excuse of, oh, I don't have the time, that is not true. You will put time into what is important to you. And you have to get to a point to where you realize and understand and know you are worth the investment. You are important. So, like I said, so I hope you guys brought your mask. This is one, I don't know if I'm going to try this one or not, because it's actually time for me to do my Ordinary. I don't know if any one of you know about the Ordinary. This is really good if you are looking to kind of exfoliate your face. And if you're dealing with a lot of, like myself, I was dealing with a lot of, you know, you're getting your face cleared up and now you have to deal with the blemishes, or you just want to get that layer off and dealing with that glow. I don't know if you can see it or not, but in here, I apologize. I'm dealing with two cameras and I'm in my main camera more than I am on my other camera. Let me try to turn things around so that you can get both parts of me. Yeah, so I used the Ordinary, and my girls got me hooked on Ordinary. Thank God for young girl, you know, teenagers and young adult girls, because I don't know, honestly, I don't know what I would do with them. My kids keep me on top of things. So it's not that I know a whole lot or I'm trendy. I have young children. I mean, when I say young, I have children, they're in their early 20s, and I have an 18-year-old. They keep me on top of stuff. So my daughters got me hooked onto this. I don't know if you can see it or not. It's Ordinary, and it's a peeling solution. It's a 10-minute exfoliating facial. So this works really good for sloughing off of dead skin. This works really good if you're looking to clarify your skin. And to, like I said, for me, to work with blemishes, this is awesome right here. So I think this is what I'm going to do today, because I can't remember. I think it's maybe been about 2 weeks since the last time I did it. Maybe 2 weeks or so. I can't remember. And I kind of just recently gave myself a facial. I think it was on Monday. Mondays are usually, because it's my day off of work, usually the weekend I'm catching up on Hope for Single Mothers things. I'm doing that. So Mondays are usually when I'll do a face mask for myself. So I've already gone ahead and done a face mask for this week. So I'm not feeling like I need another one. But this one is like I'm Red Wine Mask. It's by Tony Moly. And it says here it's pore care. Red wine mask helps to purify the skin while tightening enlarged pores. So if you're dealing with enlarged pores, I don't, like I said, I haven't used it yet, and maybe I'll do another self-care video when I'll use this, just to kind of let you know or give you my feedback once I do use this. But I think I'm going to go ahead and use the Ordinary, because it is time for me to exfoliate myself, my face. I kind of did something by mistake and it's out of habit. So I had no intentions on washing my face. But I was taking a shower and I have a routine and I just do things subconsciously. So before I knew it, I was washing my face and I'm like, oh man, I wasn't supposed to wash my face yet. You know, I was supposed to save that for the videos. So, I went ahead and washed my face already, but I did use the oil-free acne stress control power cream wash by Neutrogena. And like I said, this right here is the bomb.com. This is what has taken my face to a whole totally different level. I have been using a lot of products, and like I said, a lot of them were, I can't remember what that one product is that they, you know, you see it all the time in commercials and stuff. But this right here has worked for me. Apparently it has what my skin needs, and because like I said, I have a very heavy I have a very busy lifestyle, I guess my face requires this. And another thing I wanted to say about stress, stress doesn't always pop up. It's kind of tricky when it comes to stress management, because our bodies was not built and created to manage stress, basically, in a sense, or carry stress. But for people who are like me, like personality A's, who are very driven, overachievers, that it's a normal thing for us to do like multiple things, and you know, we're just graced with the ability to do a lot and to carry a lot. But we have to find a balance in that too, as I was saying earlier, because a lot of things that you may be carrying may not be things that are your responsibility, may not be things that have been assigned to you necessarily, and may not be things that you may feel an obligation to do it, but it's not something that you should be doing. But anyway, so as I was saying all of that to say is that I realized when I started using this product that a lot of the acne that I was dealing with, it was my face kind of reacting to stress. And so I know for myself, my body reacts to stress differently. I start getting a lot of back pain. Stress manifests through my body through back pain, like muscle joint pain, kind of dealing with a lot of achiness. And also which I didn't realize until I started using this, is that it reacts in my face. Stress will show up in my face, like pimples and, you know, and acne bumps and all that stuff. So once I started using this, I started noticing that the blemishes was disappearing. The acne, I would get less pimples, and then went from that to none at all. So yeah, so basically, like I was saying, that I said all that to say is that sometimes stress in different people manifests itself through acne, through your body. And so just kind of be watchful, on the lookout on that, because a lot of people, you know, you may not get like depressed or feeling emotionally stressed, but your body may be manifesting it or trying to let you know that you're stressed in other ways that you may not be paying attention to and know about. Okay, so I hope you grabbed your tea. I'm a tea connoisseur. I say I only drink coffee when I have to. So if you see me drinking coffee, you know it is not good. I'm not in a good place. I am not in a good place if I have to break down and drink coffee. But I love drinking tea because to me it's so relaxing. It's so soothing. And just the way it tastes and feels, it's just like, it just kind of takes your breath away. So I do have my tea, and I hope you brought yours as well. I am drinking Yogi, and I have a detox tea, and I have a, oh my gosh, I forgot because I meant to bring, I have a detox tea, and I have, oh my gosh, it's like a tangerine type of tea. I love it. It's delicious. But it helps with energy and your mood. And, you know, I just can go to my happy place when I'm drinking tea. I go to my happy place when I'm drinking tea. So anyway, so, but yes, I have my huge cup of tea, and I haven't had any yet because I like to let it steep, but it looks like it's ready. So yeah. Oh, Awesome. That's so good. Okay. So I'm just showing you some things that I use on my face for those of you who may be dealing with some issues that I had in the past. Like I said, I think this is probably the best that my skin has looked all of my adult life. And so I'm going to keep on this. But yeah, so, and it came by way of, once again, facial self-care, which is, you know, investing in facials. And once another thing, facials are they're not expensive. I know for those of you single mothers who are, you know, living from paycheck to paycheck, and your coin bag might be limited. You do not, I think I paid maybe $3, I don't even think I paid $4 for this mask. And this Ordinary, I think it was like it was under $8 at Ulta Beauty. So you don't have to pay $1 million to, you know, invest in yourself. You just have to really be resourceful. I did a lot of researching. And like I said, thank goodness with my girls that they keep me on top of things, because they watch YouTube videos, so they watch reviews and things like that. So if there's a product that they have that's like, Mom, you may want to try this out, it has good reviews, I'm like, okay, I'll try anything once. So, and then I have, I went to TJ Maxx a couple of months ago, and I found this. This is like $2.50. And this is a hemp and rose facial mist. Now, I usually, I started off using my rose mist because I would like the rose water, and I would use that as a mist. But I said I'll try this out, and it's been working great. I'm almost done with it. I've used up just about a good portion of the bottle here. I'm almost done with it here, right there. So yeah, so, and I just used this right after. You're going to see how I use this in a minute. And then this is not the product, even though I have it in a bottle. I make my own fenugreek oil. So I just kind of made my own fenugreek oil, which is awesome for your skin. And especially if you're dealing with acne, fenugreek is awesome. So, and I just made my fenugreek oil, and I just put it in here because I like the container, and I like this dropper. And it's great for oil if you're gonna like put the oil on your face to, you know, keep your face moisturized. So we're gonna go ahead, like I said, I've already washed my face. My face is nice and clean. So I'm gonna go ahead and apply this Ordinary peeling exfoliating facial. So now I'm telling you right now, I'm gonna give you a warning, it's going to get kind of messy because this is pigmented. And don't want to scare you, but my face is going to get like blood red. So just, you know. So I'm going to go ahead and apply it. And once again, I love these droppers. I don't know, whoever did this is like the best thing ever. I know I'm going to have to get my hands wet because I'm going to have to, you know, apply it, you know, move it around on my face. But I just love these droppers. Anything that comes in a container like this with a dropper, you know, I'm a sucker for it. I'll just get it. But anyway, so we're going to go ahead. So if you ladies have your mask, let's go ahead and get this done. Let's start applying our mask. And I think I need to keep this on for about 10-15 minutes. And I know now with this, it does have a tingle to it. When you first start using it, it kind of has like a burn. It's not a heavy, it doesn't hurt, but it's like more of a intense tingle, if I can say that. It's an intense tingle. So I'm going to just drop it on here. And I just kind of like to let it run down. And just start putting it now. This is a very light layer, so I'm going to have to go back over because you really need to see the color. You know, you don't want it to be this light. But I'm just kind of doing this, so I'm gonna have to apply another layer to it. Yeah, so, okay. So I think I've, you know, gotten off of my self-care soapbox. But yeah, anyway, so the story goes, like I said, back in 2011, I was diagnosed with MS. And so during that time, I was in ministry. I was very active in ministry, going to school, working. I think I was working at that time. And I literally had to, my whole life changed. I had to step back And I really had to step back away from everything. And like I said, I was forced to take care of myself. And that is when my self-care journey began. Like I said, I really had to be delivered and set free from the mindset that, you know, I don't know, that I could keep going at the rate I was going, not really paying attention to my stress levels, not taking care of myself, and yet thinking I was continuing to be able to last. Because like I said, I was on a fast track to the grave, running myself literally in the grave. And if you do not take the time to deposit, whether you do it or you surround yourself with people who are encouragers and people who are going to make good deposits into your life, lift you up, build you up, and you know, speak into your life and pour back into you, you're not going to last very long. Eventually, your body is going to break down. And like I said, I think that is the worst place to be, is when your body sets you down. I always tell people, especially my single mothers, I tell you, like, you know, to really be discerning and really be in tune with how your body will speak to you. It gives us signals. Our body just don't shut down out of nowhere. We get signals. Our body lets us know when it's reached its when it's stressed. Like I said, pay attention to your skin, because if you're and it could be hormonal as well too, because I know for me, some of it has to do with hormones, but like I said, for my face to get this clear, when I started using a product that was designed to alleviate stress in the face and the manifestation of stress in the face, that was like, okay, my body, it just, that's its way of dealing with stress. It pops up in my face. So anytime I see a pimple popping up, other than if I know that I'm kind of in one off of my healthy eating regimen, the only time I really get pimples is when my body to some degree is stressed. And so that is kind of like, you know, my signal to adjust and make some changes, and to really, you know, step back, take a break, do more self-care. And you'll find in different stages and phases in your single mother journey, you may have to do more self-care. If you live a busy lifestyle, if you have a lot going on, you have a lot of responsibilities. And when I say when your life is extremely demanding, there's different levels. But if you live an extremely demanding life where, you know, like I said, you have leadership roles and positions, you're a leader on your job, you know, you're just doing a lot, especially if you're pouring into people outside of your children. You know, if like I said, for myself, I'm a mentor, coach, even though my investor, I found a new word now because I used to call my day job my 9 to 5. But I stole this word from Susie Carter, my investor, my 9 to 5 job. But you know, I help run a department on my at my investor. So I have a lot of what I do a lot that requires a lot of exertion of mental, emotional energy. And you know, emotional and mental energy is like, I think sometimes it wears you out and kind of drains you more than if you were to do a physical activity. So if you're in roles and positions where, you know, you're a decision maker, you're head of a company, or, you know, you're head of a department, or you're supervisor or manager or something like that, it takes a lot emotionally and mentally to really operate in those positions. And so we really have to make sure, if you're a caregiver, like you're a nurse or nursing assistant or something like that, or anything that it has to do with caregiving, oh my gosh, you know, because I know a lot of us single mothers, we have jobs, you know. So we're not just, you know, taking care of our children, but a lot of us are taking care of other people. And so you're exerting a lot. And so just make sure, I think I'm done. I think I'm about red enough. Yeah, I think I'm about red enough. And so, and also another thing I wanted to kind of say is that when you're applying your mask, make sure you cover your neck, because I don't know why, but your neck is a part of your face. It's just an extension of your face. So whenever you're doing masks, make sure you cover your neck. Your neck is a part of your face, okay? So we don't want to put all this attention on the face and then neglect the neck, and you know, because you don't want your face and your neck, you know, kind of not cohesive there, okay, if I can say that word. But yeah, so you want to make sure that you're applying your masks to your neck as well. And because also, you know, as we get more mature, you know, age pops up in the neck. So we want to make sure that we're taking care of our necks. I don't know if you know, you know, kind of can relate to this of seeing people. You can kind of tell the age of people. Even if they're looking youthful in their face, you can tell, kind of get an idea how old they are if you look at their necks. You know, so we want to make sure we're giving some love to the neck area too. Okay, don't forget that. Yeah, so this is going to sit for about 10-15 minutes. And I just want to let you know, as I was applying it, I did feel the tingle. But like I said, it's okay. But with this, don't let it stay on, I think, for more than, I think at the max. I think one time I did let it stay. Nothing happened, but you just kind of, because this is an exfoliating peel, so you don't want to keep this on too long. So I am going to, let's see, set the timer on here so I'll know, even though usually I'll know by how if my face gets, okay, so but yeah, so we're gonna let this sit, but we're gonna sit down and we're gonna have some chit chat. So if you ladies have any questions, we can talk. I don't know if I can bring you on or not. I kind of just want to keep things as it is right now, because I had a whole different plan this morning of how I wanted to stream, and it just didn't work out. So I defaulted back to Facebook Live, because when all else fails on, you're trying to use streaming platforms or applications, you know, you can always default back to Facebook. So I am actually live on my personal Facebook page, and I'm live with the Hope for Single Mothers as well. So yeah, so but yeah, so if any of you all have questions that you have, you know, want to ask any questions about your single mother journey or anything like that, just go ahead and post. Thank you, Tracy, Cynthia, Lindsay, hey Sissy, I think Bobby was here, Samantha, hey Samantha, Kimberly, Cache, hey Shay, hey Aaron, hello Sister Brantley, how are you doing? So thank you all so much for joining me. I don't know if you're still sticking with me or not, if you're still here, but hello, thank you so much for joining me. So yeah, so let me get another sip. So good. So yeah, so as I was saying, as far as self-care, I think that it's so important. It is so important. And you know, this is something this year that I am going to really be focused on and really just kind of driving it in, because like I said, in my dealings with other single mothers and myself included, I'm better than I was before. I think this is such an area that needs to be addressed, because it's so important. I cannot stress the importance of self-care. It goes so far beyond just a facial, washing my hair, you know, hygiene. It goes so far beyond that. You don't understand when you are doing self-care, how you are really putting back into your body what you may be giving out throughout the course of a week or a day. And we need downtime. We are not batteries. We are not I know you may feel like you are Superwoman. And there are times when I have my cape on and I feel like Superwoman because I'm doing everything. But we're not Energizer bunnies. Our bodies need to our bodies need, need self-care. Our bodies need self-care. Really, it does. And so, there's like I said, there's so many ways that we can invest in ourselves, but self-care comes in the form of fashion. Like I said before, for those of you who are just now tuning in, that self-care has so many faces. We take care of ourselves physically. We need to make sure we're checking in on ourselves emotionally and mentally and physically and spiritually. We are not one-dimensional. There are so many, we are multi-dimensional. So we have to make sure we have a soul, we have a spirit, we deal with this physical body, we have emotions, we have to make sure that we are showing up and checking in on ourselves on a frequent basis, because if not, like I said, I think a lot of things that people incur from us, and like I said, I know, believe me, I have been through some things, and I've been through a lot of things, and it just took a lot of self-realization, self-evaluation, and really coming to awareness. I really believe we have to be very aware of our emotions, very aware of our mental capacity and our mental space, and even check in on that when it comes to your mental capacity and space too. And, I as a single mother, it is overwhelming. I'm not going to say could be, it is very overwhelming to be a single mother. It's very overwhelming. It's very rewarding, but it's very overwhelming because, like I said, for a person to assume multiple responsibilities that we were not created and it was not built in us. And I'm not saying even, for those of you who are raising your children on your own and they have no contact, no relationship with the father, we are not fathers. We were not created to be fathers. We are women. We are, feminine. And I think a lot of times, and even within myself, I've had to catch myself from losing my femininity because of having to assume a role and position that I was not built for and I was not created for. I'm telling you, there's nothing about being a man that I know, and I have 2 sons. And so I just had to be the best mother that I could be to them and really be an example to them. But there was nothing that I could teach them other than through the word of God of what a man should be, and other men, that I would look up to, that I would see that was, operating in their role and position as a man. But for me as a woman, trying to be something that I was, one, not created to be, and I don't have the characteristics and the knowledge, and I don't have the experience. I don't have an experience of being a man because I'm not one. So I can't, teach something that I don't have an experience with. Now, I've had an experience with a man, my ex-husband, and so, I've learned some things about how men can be or how certain men are, but I can't teach something from a standpoint of something I have never experienced myself. However, with my 3 girls, I'm all woman. I'm 100% woman. I'm a girly girl, and I can move in and out. As far as, going from girly girl to kind of being assertive and being a type A personality. I'm dominant. I grew up in a very dominant household. My mother is extremely, she's softened up, but in my younger years, my mom was very dominant. She grew up in an environment, an atmosphere where she was surrounded by strong Black women, who were, in charge. And so that's how she was taught. That's how she knew. My grandma had a huge farm. She managed a huge farm of, I don't even know how many acres, 30, 40, 50, how many acres. So my mom grew up surrounded by strong women that didn't really see, and really wasn't other than my grandfather, but my grandparents had got divorced. So my mom, really didn't have that, and she'll, tell her story. But my mom didn't really have that experience other than, with my grandfather, who was an awesome person. My memories of my granddad was just really beautiful. But, just saying all of that is that, didn't have that. So, and then even with me, with my growing up in my household, like I said, my mom was very dominant. Let me just put it that way. And my dad is kind of just like, he's more of a relaxed, chill type of person. Now, you're going to see him in his rare form when he has to. He'll show up, but that's not his default. That's not his natural inclination. My mom's natural inclination is to be dominant, to be strong. And I think a lot of times, especially as single mothers, when we have to be dominant and when we have to be strong, we kind of lose a sense of our femininity, and we kind of lose touch with that side of us that is feminine, because we have to assume a role and a position that really we weren't created to, but we have to, kind of operate in that role because we have no other choice. So basically, as I was saying, is that I don't know how to be a man. Don't want to know how to be a man. I am comfortable with my femininity and being a woman. However, as a single mother, I do know that there are times when I had to do certain, play certain roles that were foreign to me. And there were times in my journey that I have lost touch with my femininity because I was playing such dominant roles in my life. And so self-care helps you to get back in touch with that feminine side of you. Self-care helps to really invest in that self-love. I always say the self-care equals self-love. And so, there's just so many things that I'm seeing, especially with younger single mothers. And it just really, it tears at my heartstrings. It does. Because I see a lot of lack of self-love, because as mothers, we could be nurturing and we can be maternal, and we give all that away and we put all that into our children to the extent to where we don't have anything left for ourselves. And so I think that we have to get to a point in our single mother journey and get to a point as women that we can find a balance between, pouring into our children, investing in our children, pouring into others, but yet keeping a sense of who we are, and keeping and staying within, not pouring out to the point or to the extent to where we lose our femininity, we lose, those things about us that make us women, because we're giving out so much that we're not, being poured back into, or we're giving out so much that we're depleted and we don't have the strength, we don't have the time to put back into ourselves. Because like I said, I tell you, if nothing else I learned during that time when I was ill, it felt like I was fighting for my life, I learned that that I can't give what I don't have. And I remember, operating and functioning at a level of empty. And I thought I was doing something because I was so used to being active. I was so used to doing, and even in my doing, I was validated in my doing. I was validated and being busy, because that validated me, that made me feel important, that made me feel like I was something. But I was operating at a point of empty and didn't realize it until my body literally sat me down. And it took some time, but once I did, have time to kind of sit back and kind of just reflect, I was like, how in the world was I doing? Like, how was I doing all this? Like, literally, how was I? By the grace of God, of course, but just operating out of empty, thought I was being productive, and I'm quite sure I was being productive, but wasn't realizing what I was doing to myself internally. and even spiritually and physically. And it's not a good place to where we're constantly giving, doing, and then we're not, whatever we're giving out, we're not, being filled back up. That we're not, we're depleting ourselves, but yet we're not, building ourselves back up. So, like I said, if for nothing else, I learned that I cannot continue to operate at that level of pouring out and giving out without me taking time and seeing myself important, in a sense that as much as I give out and pour out is to the extent of what I need to put back into myself and invest in myself. And so I think, like I said, as single mothers, we have to cross over that bridge of thinking that, whatever it is, you may think you're not worth it, or you may think like you don't have the time, or you may think it's selfish. It's selfish. It is really selfish to not, invest in yourself. It is selfish because what you are giving is not your best. I know it may feel like it. And like I said, a lot of times for me, I got caught up in performance. I got caught up in being busy and doing, and that could come from, avoidance too. You want to get so busy and, that you are avoiding issues and avoiding things that really need attention, but you're getting caught up in busyness. You're getting caught up because you don't want to deal with yourself. So it's easier for me to make myself busy so that I can escape and avoid what I really need to be paying attention to and what I really need to be doing work on. But for whatever reason, whether it may be painful, it may be traumatic, I may not be in a place where I want to deal with myself. It's easier for me to get busy. It's easier for me to put my children in 50 million activities. So I'm constantly going, because I don't want, God forbid, I have time to sit down and really have time with myself to deal with myself. So, and all of that, like I said, years ago when I was sat down, I had no other choice. I had to deal with hope. I had to deal with myself. And there was multiple things that I had to deal with. But during that time, I received so much of restoration in my life, and actually, and during that time, it was a purging as well, because we absorb so much as single mothers. And that's another thing. We absorb so much. And, but we need to find an outlet, and we need to find a space to where we can purge, because, we are internalizing so many things and we don't have the space or the outlet to purge from those things so that we can, once again, be operating at a place of fullness instead of a place of deficit. Okay. So, last year, about the second to last week of the month of the year last year, I always go into like self-reflection mode. I'll pull back, I'll kind of go off the grid, because I really just want to get focused and not just about what's coming, but I want to step back and kind of evaluate how my year has gone and to really process. Last year was it was a doozy for a lot of us, and I'm just going to be honest. To a certain extent, I cannot relate, because 2020 was one of the best years of my life, I can honestly say. However, I'm not ignorant and I'm not insensitive to the fact that it wasn't for a lot of people. And so 2020 literally rocked and turned people's worlds upside down. I know, as from single mothers, having a lot of you all were not used to tutoring your children and having to be the educator in your home. And that kind of just turned your world upside down. A lot of you had to work from home. And so now you're balancing working from home and being the educator in your home and just trying to make all that work. And it was just so crazy for you to do that. It was just foreign for you and it was stressful for you. And so my heart goes out to you single mothers, to you all who had to do that. And I really want to just pat you on the back, because if you're here in 2021, you did something right. You made it. and you did something right. So whether and just relieve, I feel led to say, relieve yourself of the pressure. Teachers go to college and they get trained to do what they do. And so don't put yourself on the level of an educator who has been trained, who has received the credential, who have put in the time to have the title and to do what they do. However, don't put yourself on that level. Just, relieve yourself from that pressure of having to be at the level where your child's teacher is at. That's not what, you've been called to do. However, do the best that you can do. And there's so many resources out there, there's tutors and all this stuff is free. So you don't have to pay money to do it. So if you need help in that area of, being your child's educator during this time of the pandemic, by all means, research and I'll connect you if you follow me in my Facebook group, and I'll put some information here on my Facebook page, Hope for Single Mothers. I'll post resources that you can connect with to alleviate yourself from that pressure and that stress of having to feel like you have to be your child's teacher. I mean, in the sense that you are, and teaching really starts before your child even goes off to school, because we're teaching them so many other things. We may not be educating them on the educational level to a certain extent, but, your child's first teacher was you. We are our children's first teacher. Before they even step foot in a school, we are their first teacher. So it's just coming back to basics and learning new skill sets and learning how to do life differently. By all means, like I said, don't feel obligated that you have to teach and on the level that your children are used to when they were in school, because, unless you've gone to school for training for that, there's certain things you just don't know. But you can do the best that you can, and you can reach out to other resources and learn, and you can develop in those areas, and you can grow in those areas that you may not be, trained in. Anyway, so on another note, so as I was saying, when it comes to self-care, I think that, I don't know, what are your thoughts? I think sometimes the reason why it may be hard for single mothers to, to really dip down deep and to be more intentional about self-care is because when you get into the subject of self-care, like I said, it's not just about facials. It's just not about getting your nails done and, pedicure or getting your hair done or anything like that. Self-care has to do with being in tune with your emotions, being in tune with your mental capacities, being in tune spiritually, in so many aspects of our lives. And I think sometimes that might be a touchy subject, or it might be a soft spot that a lot of single mothers don't want to really tap into, because like I said, it's so much easier for me to fill my schedule with so many other things than to take the time to invest in myself and work on myself. I'm telling you right now, self-work is hard work, but it is fulfilling, and you can't grow. You can't grow as a woman and as a person without self-work. Self-work is so important. It's so important. If you want to advance in life, if you want to succeed in life, if you just want to be the best you in life and fulfill your God-given purpose and destiny, it's going to call for some self-work. Like, you got to work yourself out, because as single mothers, we deal with so many multiple issues. It's not like we just don't come to the table with one issue. We dealing with multiple issues. We dealing with relationship issues. We dealing with probably past traumas. We're dealing with, to a certain extent, rejection. You're dealing with, just so many complexities of issues that you may be dealing with. And I think it's extremely important as single mothers to really take the time and be intentional self-work, being in tune with your emotions, being in tune with your mental capacities, being in tune with yourself spiritually, and being in tune with yourself physically, and even financially and relationally, and that's all a process. It's all a process. And I think that if you give yourself grace and give yourself time to do it, that you'll see the benefit, and you'll see yourself and the growth and the transformation. But it definitely takes, like I said, self-work. And I think, like I said, I think that a lot of times the reason why it's so difficult for single mothers to really invest in self-care is because, you know, it involves self-work. It involves, you know, now me having to really, you know, take time to deal with me. And I might not be in a place in my life where I want to deal with me. But it's necessary. It is so necessary if you want to see growth and transformation in your life. Okay, so I said all that. I think I'm done because I'm sticky now. And that's another thing. You'll know when it's time for you to take your mask off if you're going to use the ordinary exfoliating peel. When you start getting sticky, I don't know if you can hear it, but I'm sticky. So it's time for me to take it off. So I'm going to get my washcloth and I'm going to go ahead and start removing this. But yeah, so do we have any questions? I gotta try to move this camera. Maybe if I put it this way, I don't want it to. Okay, maybe we could do, okay, maybe that's better. Yeah, so are there any questions, any comments about what I have been talking about in regards to self-care? I'm curious, by show of hands, or give me a heart, give me some love. How many of you that are watching really, you know, practice self-care? How many of you practice self-care? I'm not seeing any hands. Anybody? Okay. All right, so I'm not sure if anybody... Hello there, Margaret. How are you? Let me see. I don't know if I can bring you on. Okay, there we go. We got some... Okay, and I know there's a delay in this. So, and that's one of the reasons why... I mean, I know it's a good default and go-to, and it's pretty reliable. But that's why I like to kind of use other streaming platforms, because it's not a delay. It's pretty much, you know, it's not real time. I mean, even though it's live, but there's a delay in what you hear. So I'm going to just wait for the responses to come in. Margaret says that she's over 50 and she's just now. You know what? You're never too late. It's better, you know. It's better. It's now, you know, it's better to do it. I mean, there's, you know, I'm so proud of you that, you want me to bring you on? Is it okay if I bring you on? I'm not sure if I can bring you on. I just want to hear what you have to say. Let me see. Can I bring you on, Margaret? Okay. Here, let me see if I can bring you on. Oh, let's see, y'all. I think this is how I do it. Okay, let's see how that works. We're going to see how that goes. Hello there. How are you? How are you? Oh my gosh, it's been ages. I'm so glad that we reconnected.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
I am at work, and I remember seeing your post, so I just wanted to get on here and tell you, in this few minutes, you have really, really helped me so much.
Oh, praise God. To God be the glory.
I can really identify with what you're saying, and I'm just now getting to the point where I'm learning to deal with me and to take care of me. You know, I had my children and stuff. We were in church together, and you know, when I'm transitioned and I'm single, and it's just like I said, it just took me to, like, recently to really realize that I can ignore what's really going on and don't have to deal with what's really going on by just staying busy. Because if you stay in that pattern, your body will break you down.
Absolutely.
It will break down for you.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I've had so many close calls because of it.
Yeah.
But it's been like this last 2 years where I finally got to the point where I'm just saying, hey, you know what? You can't be anything to nobody else if you're not that to yourself first.
Or if you're not here, you know.
Yeah, if you did.
You know, right. You know, because I don't think that...
What you don't have.
Right, you know, because I think a lot of us think, you know, like I said, I didn't realize what serious condition I was in until, you know, I kind of had time to be sat down and couldn't do, I mean, when I say I couldn't do a thing, I was so just out of commission. I was so helpless. I mean, thank God that I have 5 children and they were old enough, you know, to help out because I was just out of commission. And like I said, that's the scariest and worst place, especially as a single mother, for you to be, to where you can't even, you know, you can't even take care of your own children, you know. And I'm so proud of them. And they were able to pick up the slack and do things. And at that time, I mean, I had always raised my children to be self-sufficient anyway. But then they really had to take on the role when I divorced and became a single mother. But they did it so well. And so during that time when I was ill, you know, and of course I had people helping me. I did have a lot of the saints that came in and helped. And I'm so grateful for all, and my parents and my family, they were there to help me. But I had moved away from my family. So I was in a place where I was just by myself. And so, and then, like I said, I had to step down from ministry, and I went on a sabbatical because I really had to take care of myself. Like, I mean, when I say I had to shut down, everything had to shut down. Everything had to shut down because, and I've dealt with multiple, you know, health issues and throughout the course of my life. But when I had got that MS diagnosis, and, you know, I'm not sure if you remember when I had my youngest daughter that I almost died, you know, giving birth to her at the ministry, you know, where we were together at. And so I've been I've been through a lot when it comes to health. But when I got, you know, the diagnosis of MS, I was like, okay, like, and I know how destructive MS can be. I've seen what it has done to people, and I'm like, oh no, this is, you know, I've had so many, like you, I had so many close calls, and God has delivered me and healed me, but I wasn't getting it. It wasn't clicking. It was like, okay, I would go back and get right back busy. I would do stuff, you know, and it wasn't clicking. And so it wasn't until I had got, until I was diagnosed with MS back in, I think it was 2010, 11, that I was like, okay, wait a minute. I'm like, no. And before that, because I was going through a lot of the symptoms, and back in 2009, I had lost, I had to learn how to walk all over again. I was in a rehabilitation center for like 2 weeks. No, I was in there for a while because my body had shut down. And I was in a wheelchair. I mean, I was just a hot mess. I was really in bad shape. And like I said, you would have thought that would have been a wake-up call. But once I, you know, I had recovered by the grace of God, went right back into doing what I was doing. And like I said, but when I got that diagnosed, when I had been diagnosed with MS, I was like, okay, wait a minute. I said, you know what? There's something that I'm not catching on to. There's something that I'm not learning. I am not learning a lesson, and didn't realize, you know, and I remember, I'll never forget, I had went to see a specialist, and he was, I had to take a brain scan. Okay. And he was looking at my x-ray from my brain scan, and he looked at me, and he's looking at the brain scan, and he's looking at me. And he didn't know me from Adam. My first time, you know, seeing him. And he said, if you don't change some things in your life and really take managing your stress more seriously, he was like, you're not going to be here much longer.
I was told the same thing.
He said, you are not, he said, you're not going to be here much longer. He said, I can, and he didn't know me. And so I believe that that was the Lord speaking through him to me as a, because as a doctor, he was like, he was like, you are operating at such a high level of stress. He was like, it's a miracle you're sitting here right now with me, because you should have been dead, And he told me, he was like, I received a good report that day, because I had, before I eventually went to him, I did some work. I shut down. I'm telling you, I shut down. I went off the grid, and I was like, look here. I'm like, I'm not receiving this diagnosis. This is not the end of my life. There is more life in me. I'm like, I have young children that I have to finish raising. I'm like, oh no, I'm not, no, and it was that wake up call for me, was like, what has to be done differently? What do I have to shift in my life? What adjustments do I have to make in my life? And it all came down to me. It all came down to me, And so it was a process. It felt very uncomfortable, but I'm so glad that the Lord walked me through that process, because I'm not the person that I used to be. And I'm talking about health-wise. Today, I am 100% healthy. When I walked in that doctor's office, because I take tests, and he was like, I'm telling you right now, he said, based upon this test, there are lesions on your brain. He said, there's lesions on your brain. He said, however, at this point and stage where we've caught it, that you can, reverse it. You can kind of shift it. And so he said, but I'm telling you, he said, if you don't learn how to manage your stress, you're not going to be here. He said, you're literally running yourself into the grave. So for me, that was like, okay. And from that moment on, I'm like, okay, we got to do things differently. Like, Hope, you have to be a priority, because if you're not here, who's going to raise your children? If you're not here, who's going to fulfill the purpose and call of God on your life? So I really, from that point, like I said, my self-care journey began, and it started small with me. It started with washing my hair. It started with growing. Seriously, I know it may sound simple or silly or insignificant, but my self-care journey started with growing my hair, because like I said, at that time, I was bald-headed, just about, might as well say, didn't have really too much of hair on my head, and that was messing with myself, and so I, started to grow my hair. And so, but the time and the effort that I had to put into it really was shifting me into a different arena as far as taking care of myself. And you would be amazed at something so simple as just washing your hair, that your body is receiving it as, an investment. Your body is receiving it as, care, self-care, and it went from that to, doing facials, and it went from facials to now, okay, let me work on my, for the most part, I've always, I won't say always, but from the point of my divorce up until now, I've pretty much lived, I won't say that. After I had my youngest daughter, I did have to shift my diet, because the doctor told me that I would be on high blood pressure for the rest of my life, and I was like, the devil is a liar. Not going to happen. So I had to really shift how I was eating, and remove some things from my diet and things like that. So I've kind of really been on the healthy side, but really just not consistent. And so, so it just kind of just, like I said, it was a gradual process for me. But it started with as simple as washing my hair, growing my hair, and then seeing the results of that, and really being pleased with it, but really how it was making me feel, and how it was an investment. And you know what I'm saying? It was like, oh my gosh, it just worked wonders for me. So, like I said, that's why, I really, started with the self-care, because I know that's something that single mothers really struggle with. I struggle with it. And I'm not saying that I've arrived, but, and there's times, depending on how busy I get, that I have to pull back, be like, okay, Hope, it's time. Like, you can't be out here doing all this and then neglecting yourself. Just recently, like I said, I've been going through a purging process because even though I'm further along in my self-care journey, there were some components and some things that were missing. So just recently, as I was, like I said, last year, taking that time to step back and reevaluate and assess myself in a year and things like that, was just some things that were brought to my attention. And so just recently, I've purged my closet. And I don't know, this may sound weird. Raise your hand if you've ever experienced this, but this is something new to me, or I am reconnecting to this part of me, because I think when we, especially, you know, if you have multiple, it doesn't matter how many kids you have, but the length that you've been a single mother, sometimes you just kind of, like I said, lose touch with yourself. And the things that you used to do as you're maturing, you kind of lose that. And so, you know, and it's simple as just, you know, underwear, you know, like I had to purge all my old underwear because I realized that there really wasn't too much in there that was like appealing. And because I've been a single mother for 15 years and I have not been in one relationship since I've been divorced, I've kind of lost that, you know, that, you know, like that sex appeal type of thing, because it's like, for me, it's like, well, I ain't trying to look good for nobody else but myself. I know I'm good. I know I'm beautiful. I know I'm, you know, so when it's like, you know, and so I was kind of convicted, like, okay, Hope, you've kind of gotten out of touch with that. And it's okay. You could be single and sexy. And I think sometimes, that, you know, the word sexy carries a derogatory connotation, but it's like, no, you could be saved and sexy, you know. You can have, you know, that, you know, you could be alluring and captivating and intriguing. That is all that encompasses who we are as women, you know. And so I'm getting back in touch with that part of myself. And for me, it started with like switching up my underwear. I threw away the granny underwear. I threw away my granny panties, girl. I was like, boop, okay. And so just, you know, I did, because my children, you know, I'm an old spirit. And so I struggle with that too, because I'm an old spirit. I tend to, and I'm very modest and conservative. I tend to kind of go that way and lose touch with certain things. You know, I kind of have some gaps in there. And my children tell me all the time, like, Mom, you're so beautiful. I mean, I know all of this, but sometimes I feel like I don't have to really put an effort into that. And I know last year, because we were on shutdown, and still might be in certain areas, depending on where you're tuning in at. And we were, you know, the pandemic and all that stuff. And, you know, last year, everybody was wearing sweatpants. And I never knew there would be, like, you know, fashionable wearing sweatpants. But they've made it into a fashion trend, you know, heels and all of that. But anyway, I said all that to say that I think it was so easy to lose touch in 2020 because you didn't have to put forth an effort. You know what I'm saying? Like, you didn't have to go out the house. You didn't have to really put your face on, your makeup on, or whatever like that, because you were in the house. And even if you're working from home and doing videos, from head to waist, you could be looking one kind of way, and from waist down, you could be whatever. You could be in your pajamas or whatever, you know. So the effort, and maybe that self-care, because that effort is a part of self-care. And that's another thing. We have to understand that, you know, putting attention to me, meaning that taking time to see, taking time to make an effort out of doing my hair. And everybody know me. This is my default right here. I think it was last year I think it was like November, because I rarely straighten my hair. I maybe straighten my hair once a year. And so I went ahead and straightened my hair because there were some pictures and things I had to do for Hope for Single Mothers. And in that process, I realized, like, I don't like fooling with this hair on my hair. I just don't like doing it. And so my go-to, and my girls are they're like, Mom, you have all that hair on your head and you just always wear this bun, you know? And that's just, but this is my go-to. Everybody knows me for my little bun on the top of my head. And, you know, I don't have time in the morning when I'm getting ready for work to really deal with my hair and do all that it takes to show up and just kind of be, you know, to have your glow on, you know. And so I lost, you know, and I used to be a person where I did not leave the house. And you probably know me as that. We probably remember I would not leave the house unless I had makeup on, my face was made up, I was looking, you know, you're right, you know, and so it was like I always put forth an effort because during that time I was rebuilding my self-esteem after really losing it after my divorce. So it was certain, like I said, it's a process. It was certain things that I was doing intentionally that had a part to play in rebuilding myself after losing myself in my previous marriage and the effects of that after I divorced. And so I think I've been single for so long that I've gotten so comfortable with myself because I'm not really I'm not looking for a man. I'm not trying to find one, even though, you know, I don't think, you know, we need to be found. But anyway, that's another subject. But I'm gotten so comfortable with being single that I kind of stopped putting forth an effort. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if you can relate to that, you know? And so I kind of felt convicted in that, like, okay, so we don't wear makeup anymore, you know, and you don't, I mean, not saying you have to wear makeup. Some women need to wear makeup. It's an enhancement. It's good. But I also believe in natural beauty as well. I've embraced my beauty. There's nothing wrong with wearing makeup, but I think sometimes we need to put more of an effort into that because in doing those things, it's really making us feel good. It boosts our self-esteem. It makes us feel good. So whether you have to do it or not, or whether you're confident in yourself or not, you know, it's just certain things that we should do as women, as single mothers, just so that we're constantly making sure that we're filling our tanks because we give out so much, you know? And so I'm going back to the basics, and I'm trying something new. It's funny because when I came back, I was on vacation the last week of December. And so when I came back after purging, because I took about 2 weeks and I was just like purging out with the old, in with the new. And I got a new hairdo. And it's so funny. I showed up at work and do you know people did not recognize me? Like I had my nice ponytail. I was like, and they were like, who is this new person? But they loved it because, and I was like, well, it wasn't like I was showing up looking grungy to be, you know, before, but it was just like, wow. It was like, they're like, you are gleaming and glowing on such a different level. And just that minor tweak of changing my hairstyle, putting on some mascara, you know, and just, you know, doing that, it just really just changed and shifted, you know, that. I mean, I even felt good. I was, you know, showed up to work and I thought you couldn't tell me nothing, you know. And so I just wanted, and so that's why I said, you know, as single mothers, I think we do, and we have to do more than the average person, the average woman. We have to do more even than the average married woman or the single woman, because there's so much that we do, but we have to. It is extremely important to find time to invest in ourselves, to care for ourselves, to put forth the effort to show up for ourselves, and to make sure that we're tapping into our feminine side, that we're doing those things that make us who we are. And I'm not saying that it defines us, so to speak, but not losing touch with that, because it's so easy to lose touch with that part of yourself because you're operating in so many other, you know, places, especially, like I said, as a single mom, that it's so easy to forget that, oh, by the way, I am a woman. You know, by the way, I have certain things that makes me a woman, and I have certain needs as a woman, and so I need to pay attention to that, and I need to give attention to those things. I think sometimes we kind of, like I said, we get ourselves so busy to where we avoid or neglect those things that we really need to be tapping into and being in tune with and really investing in, so that we can really be a whole self, to be our whole self, to be so that we're not just showing up halfway or showing up empty, but we're showing up our whole selves, because we're doing the self-work, we're putting in the self-care, and we're loving ourselves. And yeah, so that's all I have to say about that. But moving right along.
I gotta get back to work, sis.
Well, thank you so much for joining me, and I thank you so much for tuning in. It was nice talking to you again. I don't know how long it's been. It's been so long. But thank you so much, and God bless you, and have a wonderful day.
You too.
Okay, so I am on the next step. Let me see. Let me close you out here. Yes. Okay. Okay, so I have washed off the mask, the exfoliating peel. I don't know if you can see right now. I think I'm all good. Yeah, I've washed it all off. So usually what I do after that, I'll go ahead and apply my spray mist. And like I said, this is hemp and rose facial mist. Anti-aging, moisturizing, revitalizing. So this is what I've been using for probably the past couple of months now. I really like it. So I'm gonna go ahead and spray that. Ugh. And once again, like I said, don't neglect your neck, because our necks are an extension of our face. So I'm just gonna go ahead and rub that in. And usually when you're putting things on your face, you kind of want to go in an upward position, only because gravity goes down. So you want to go up and just apply that. And then once I do that, I follow up with my fenugreek oil. Like I said, this is not the product within itself. I just like the container and the dropper. So I've made some fenugreek oil, and I'm using this right here. Okay. So I'm just gonna go, and like I said, I love these droppers. Oh my gosh, I love the droppers. So when you're using the oil droppers, you just dab here, dab there, dab a little bit everywhere, and you just kind of just rub it in. And once again, you want to kind of go in a circular motion, trying to stay from bottom up, just so that you can kind of lift your face instead of your face, drooping and sagging. And this feels so good, and it's giving me a nice glow. Oh my gosh. Oh, this feels so good. Okay, so then after that, I don't know about you, but especially when it comes time in the winter and fall, my lips tend to go on the dry side. So I use Palmer's cocoa butter. And this is like a it comes in also in an oil, and also comes in a lotion, but I like this cream right here. Well, it's not a cream, it's kind of like a butter. Yeah, cocoa butter. And I just apply some to my lips because I like to keep my lips moisturized. My lips are thanking me because they were really dry. Okay, yeah. And so that's pretty much it. So I am done. And like I said, I usually try to give myself a facial at least once a week. And I must admit, depending on how my schedule is going, that doesn't always happen, but I try to at least put forth an effort and be in town. I'm pretty consistent, but like I said, there's some times when I can't get to it. But this week so far, I gave myself a facial mask. I gave myself a facial mask. I think I have a little bit of it in here left, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see. This right here, I only have this left. but it's a 3-part facial mask. It's supposed to be for your T-zone right here. That's and that would be the charcoal right here. This vitamin C glow boosting mud mask, and that's for like under your eyes in this area right here. And then this is what I have left. I'm out of the charcoal mask, and I'm out of it was a green mask, a cucumber mask, and that would be for this lower region right here. I'm all out. But this is by Yes. I don't know the full name of it because, like I said, it comes in 3 parts, and you just tear it off. Part for your T-zone, part for under your eyes, and then a part for right here. So the only thing I have left is the vitamin C part mask that goes under your eyes. So, but it's by Yes. I think I got this at Target. This right here, like I said, I haven't tried this yet. I don't know when I'm going to try it, but this is by Tony Moly, and this is I'm Red Wine Mask Sheet. Now I heard these are really good. Got a lot of good reviews on this one, but I haven't tried it yet. But this one is for if you're dealing with pores, like enlarged pores. This will help to, you know, tone down those large pores. And then this right here, like I said, this has been, this has been, I'm telling you right here, this oil-free acne control by Neutrogena is a power cream wash. This is my staple right here because, like I said, I didn't realize that a lot of the you know, a lot of the acne that I was dealing with is because that was my face's way, or my skin's way of you know, projecting stress. So once I use this, and this has, let's see here, some ingredients in here. It has green tea, cucumber in here, and it has salicylic acid, 2% salicylic acid. And like I said, I've tried other Neutrogena products, and I've tried a slew of products, and nothing has really, and I'm, like I said, I'm doing better, drinking more water. So water regimen is also key when you want to have a clear face. You have to drink a ton of water. I am telling you another thing, because that's our body's way of purifying and pushing out toxins. So you have to drink water. I don't know if any of you drink water, but I try to drink at least a gallon or half a gallon of water a day. And like I said, you can also tell through your face or through your skin. Our skin has a way of telling us if we're dehydrated, we're not getting enough water, because water flushes our kidneys, but it also it pushes out and excretes toxins in our skin as well. So up your water regimen if you're dealing with, like I said, acne and dealing with some issues with your skin. But this is by Neutrogena. I got this from Target. I think it was like $7.49 or something. Here we go. And this is Azure. Now, I didn't see a whole lot of this, I didn't see a whole lot of this at TJ Maxx. I just was looking and thought it was interesting, read the ingredients. And another thing, I try not to get stuff with a whole lot of ingredients, and eventually I really would like to I am going to get back to making, because I do want to launch my own hair care line. And I just like knowing what is going on my body because I know the ingredients. So I'm going to get back into that hopefully sometime this year. I have other things that I'm working on right now, but that's definitely something that I plan on doing in the near future, is getting back with my all natural, making my own products, specifically. And I've started with my hair. I do have my own conditioner, my hair oil. I have to get back into my shampoo and other things too, but yeah. But anyway, this is by Azure, and I just found this on the shelf. This was the last one. It was $2.50, and I said I'll give it a try, and it works perfect. I really like it. I like the way it makes my skin feel. I feel so refreshed when I spray it on there. And then, like I said, this right here is just fenugreek. So I just made my own fenugreek oil, and I just put it in this container. And yeah, but fenugreek is really good for acne and blemishes and for your skin. And I think that's it. And then Ordinary. It's called The Ordinary. And you can find this at Ulta. Is like under $8. And this is what I use today on my face. And this is a exfoliating peel. You want to only use this once a week because it's an exfoliator. And like I said, it's 30% AHA, 2% BHA. So this is not really a high grade peel, but you still get that tingle. So you don't want to expose your skin, your face to too much of this. You may just use it once a week. That's all you need to do is use it once a week. Okay. And like I said, it helps to really kind of just clarify your skin, you know, get your skin tone together and just slough off that layer of dead, you know, skin and give you this nice glow. Okay, so I think that's about all. I know we've been on here for a while, but thank you for tuning in. I really had a fun time with you all, and hope you are, I don't know if you were able to get your tea and kind of do a facial. Maybe next time we'll do a Zoom or a StreamYard to where I'll bring you ladies on and we can all see each other's face mask and we can kind of do that. I know it's kind of with this pandemic that we can't really get together, you know, like we want to, but hey, you know, we're gonna adjust and you know, it is what it is. I don't believe Rona's gonna be hopefully not sticking around for a whole long time, but yeah, so I had some fun. I hope there was something that I said that really encouraged you, because my purpose for coming to you today was not just to kind of get together, have single mother girl chit chat time, but also to, I hope there was something that really, I really had the intentions to leave you with value. I wanted to give, pour some value into you, because I know, like I said, there, as single moms, we give out so much. And so I want to be, I desire to be, I believe I am a conduit and an instrument to where I can pour into you and add value to you and to, you know, invest in you, so that you can be operating on a consistent level on a full tank. Because as I said before, you can't pour out of an empty cup and you can't give what you don't have. So I hope that you will really consider and take seriously the importance of self-care and how it really, that you're worth it. You're worth the investment. You're worth the time. As I said earlier, that we as single mothers, we're very resourceful. We are queen time managers. So we know how to allocate our time and how to use our time. So a lot of times you don't think that you are worth the time, but I just want to reinforce and affirm to you that you are so worth the time and investment that it takes to, you're worth the time and investment for your self-care. You know, self-care is self-love. So, you know, I just want you to, you know and realize that you're worth the investment, you're worth the time, and that, yeah, that self-care is important. So until next time, I leave you with love, peace, and blessings. I hope you have a wonderful Saturday, and take some time. If you weren't able to join me with tea and your face mask, then either today or tomorrow, make sure that you take some time and get a face mask. And maybe one day I'll come back and show you how to make a homemade face mask for those of you, because I understand, I respect the bag and the coins, and sometimes you just don't have it. And I know I wasn't always in the place that I am today. A lot of times I had to be very resourceful and use things that were in my kitchen cabinet and in my refrigerator. And I made things for myself when I wasn't able to go out and purchase them. So, well, there is a will, there is a way. You just have to be intentional about it, okay? So I wish you the best. Have a wonderful Saturday. Get some self-care in if you were not able to join me with your tea and face mask. And I'll see you later, okay? Bye-bye.